This is Russian President Vladimir Putin, who has arrived in China on Tuesday evening for a two-day visit centered on talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping as Moscow and Beijing draws closer amid war, sanctions and an interestingly fractured global order. Well, Putin's visit is the second face-to-face meeting as he has held with Xi in less than a year. And it also coincides with the 25th anniversary of the 2001 Treaty of Good Neighborliness and Friendly Cooperation, the agreement that formalized ties between Russia and China, which is following decades of ideological rivalry and mutual suspicion. Well, right now I have my colleague Shivan Channa who will get you all the latest. Well, Shivan, how are we looking at this? How are we seeing this panning out?
No, it's interesting, Adya, because this is a absolutely similar setting as what we saw just days earlier when Donald Trump came to the Tiananmen Square right here in Beijing. And this is the Russian President Vladimir Putin receiving that honor in the heart of China. This is in Beijing, that is. And Vladimir Putin arrived at the historic Great Hall of the People. That's where these shots are coming in from. That's the Great Hall of the People in Beijing for the high-stakes state visit. And this is a summit talks with the Chinese President Xi Jinping. Now, the two leaders, they are going to be using this iconic venue for their major strategic alliances. And you can be rest assured that these visuals are going to be resonating across the world and definitely in the Western capitals. Most specifically, it's going to be resonating in Washington. These two leaders are going to be having discussions and closed-door discussions, that is, on geopolitics and deepening trade relations. They have extremely good relations, and that is very easily understandable given the number of visits and interactions they have had in the recent past itself. The Great Hall of the People, let me just quickly tell you about what we are seeing on the screen. This is a visual from Beijing. The Great Hall of the People it's the premier seat of power for the Chinese Communist Party. It is situated on the western edge of Tiananmen Square, and that's essentially located in the exact center of Beijing on East Chang's Avenue in the district. And along with that, it is where China hosts visiting heads of state. And as I was mentioning, it was just days earlier, just about 4 to 5 days earlier, when we saw Donald Trump receiving the same guard of honor and the same reception by the Chinese government. And here we are seeing this with Vladimir Putin just days later. Also, there was a statement that came in from the Kremlin. Putin and Xi, they're set to discuss how to strengthen Russia and China's strategic partnership and exchange views on key international regional issues. So you can be rest assured they will be having discussions on the Iran war as the stalemate continues regarding a deal. And along with that, there will be discussions regarding their own bilateral ties. There have been other statements that have come in from the Kremlin saying their ties have deepened since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. With Putin visiting Beijing every year since, as his country is among the topics, Xi and Putin could discuss the construction of the major Power of Siberia 2. That's the natural gas pipeline from Russia to China through Mongolia. So these are some of the topics that are definitely going to be discussed between the two leaders. It's going to be land alternative to crude imported by sea from West Asia. That's the Power of Siberia to a natural gas pipeline from Russia to China through Mongolia. Again, linked to the developments in West Asia that we've seen. And this handshake, nothing new that we're seeing in these visuals. They have excellent relations. But yes, just days earlier seeing the same reception to Donald Trump, days later seeing the same reception to Vladimir Putin at the same location, that's definitely one thing to ponder on. Now, the welcome ceremonies, they typically include a full military guard that we just saw in these visuals. It's a full military guard of honor by the People's Liberation Army. And this is before the two leaders transition into substantial format discussions. These are 1+4 format discussions. These talks span everything from ongoing war in Ukraine to nuclear energy and major economic pacts. But one can be well assured there will be discussions regarding whatever China and US has been able to achieve in the recently concluded visit of Donald Trump. That visit happened after almost 9 years. And here we have Donald Trump. Here we have Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin meeting, and they've met some 40 times already, and every year they've met since 2022, twice in the previous year itself. And the visit of Vladimir Putin was announced on X by the Chinese official accounts, and this was just hours after Donald Trump departed from Beijing. That was just days ago, about 4 days back. here we are.
And right, Shivan, and we've all seen how these bilateral talks are very important for both of the countries. The energy relationship between the two countries is expected to be an important topic of discussion. And, China has brought more Russian oil and gas since the start of the conflict with Ukraine in 2022, with all the the war that has happened with the invasion, and with Moscow and Beijing declaring a no-limits partnership just days before the war began. And, I'll just go through two of the most important things that might be under discussion, which is like gas and oil. Russia's energy giant Gazprom supplies natural gas to China through a 3,000 kilometers pipeline called Power of Siberia under a 30-year and $400 billion deal was launched in the year 2019. And during Putin's visit to China in September, the countries agreed to increase annual volumes on the route. Well, the countries are also still in talks about a new Power of Siberia 2 pipeline, which you've just mentioned, from Russia to China via Mongolia. And the other is China, which is Moscow's top client for oil shipments via the same pipelines. Exports have been high amid Western sanctions on Russia over the war in Ukraine. But now we'll just have to wait and see what exactly we are getting through these bilateral talks in the next, the talks and everything. But thank you so much, Shivan, for getting us all the details, and we just need to see and look through it.
Yeah, just quickly, Russia has made it very clear that this visit to China has nothing to do with the visit of Donald Trump to China. They've made a clear distinction there, and that these two powers coming together are for their bilateral good. It's not for putting any other country down. So they are giving that kind of a messaging. We'll need to wait and watch now what comes out, or what kind of headlines are going to be seen after their meeting and after the statements come out from both the sides. But for now, we've seen this grand reception. And that's all. We will be tracking all these developments as we see them on the screens and bring you minute-by-minute updates. I'm Shivan Channa.
Campaigns, elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power, only on WION.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. Get the latest updates.
Destroy their
Breaking
missiles
news.
and raise their...
Credible, clear, continuous. Experts across aisles. Diverse voices, one platform. WION World is one. WION, India's global voice. The channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
In this rapidly changing world, is your health keeping pace? Best practices and breakthroughs busting the hype with real insights. The timeless power of yoga and ancient healing. Good food, good mood. Small steps, big impact. Your health matters. Only on WION World is One. Because nothing matters more.
Campaigns, elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power, only on WION.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. Get the latest updates.
Destroy their
Breaking
missiles
news.
and raise their
Credible, clear, continuous. Experts across aisles. Diverse voices, one platform. WION World is one.
In this rapidly changing world, is your health keeping pace? Best practices and breakthroughs busting the hype with real insights. The timeless power of yoga and ancient healing. Good food, good mood. Small steps, big impact. Your health matters. Only on WION World is One. Because nothing matters more.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching WION World is One. I'm Shubin Chan now. Let's start with the headlines. Xi Jinping welcomes Vladimir Putin in Beijing, shaking hands with him outside the Great Hall of People ahead of talks. Putin and Xi walked down a red carpet rolled out to greet the Russian leader and stand as military band play their two national anthems. Vladimir Putin's close ally Kirill Dmitriev says United Kingdom and European Union need Russian energy to survive. And this comes as Britain allows imports of diesel and jet fuel refined abroad from Russian crude under a sanctions exemption. President Lai Ching-te says Taiwan's future cannot be decided by foreign forces and must remain in hands of its people after Trump suggests arms sales to Taiwan could be used as leverage in talks with China, which claims the island as its territory.
We're in a pretty good spot here, but there's an option B. And the option B is that we could restart the military campaign to continue to prosecute the case, to continue to try to achieve America's objectives.
Vice President J.D. Vance says US and Iran have made significant progress in talks and neither side wants renewed military conflict, warns Tehran against pursuing nuclear weapons as it would trigger a nuclear arms race. White House official says US President Donald Trump will travel next month to the G7 summit in France despite ongoing tensions with allies over issues including Iran and tariffs. The summit will be held in Evian from the 15th to the 17th of June. PM Modi arrives in Rome for the final leg of his five-nation tour, where he will meet Italian Prime Minister Meloni and President Mattarella to discuss the ways to boost India-Italy ties Meloni welcomes Prime Minister Modi to Italy, calling him a friend, sharing an earlier picture with him. Heavy rains across central and southern China since the weekend have killed at least 22 people, with 20 still missing. Several regions experienced record-breaking rainfall, prompting school and work suspensions.